you have a dachshund and have questions on topics like training and nutrition? Do you want a dachshund and need help locating a breeder or finding a great rescue? Did you have a dachshund growing up and want to share some funny or heartwarming stories? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Wiener Dog Lover Podcast, the place to be for all things dachshund. When the idea for this podcast first began, I really wanted to bring attention to issues that affected our dachshunds, and unfortunately, IVDD is just one of those things. Thankfully, there are so many people that are working tirelessly to help do the same thing. I've been able to interview so many people so far, so many professionals that are really working hard on whether it's different treatments or just bringing awareness to IVDD and to other dachshund issues. And I really suggest and hope that you go back and listen to some of those earlier podcasts. I'm so proud and honored that I get to speak with so many brilliant people that are dedicated to our dachshunds. Today's episode is no different. One of my past guests started the National Walk and Roll Dog Day. Today, I'm speaking with her predecessor, Angela Johnston. We talk about how she's dealt with IVDD and where she sees the walk heading. Let's get into it. Angela, welcome to the Wiener Dog Lover Podcast. I appreciate you taking the time today to speak with us. A little background on me. I thankfully haven't had any dachshunds that have experienced IVDD, but my mom did many years ago. Abby went down when she was about 5, and thankfully we had a really amazing breeder that rehabbed her from being completely paralyzed to back up and running on all four, and she lived to be, I guess, almost about 14, so that was more than 25 years ago. And before the before the technology that we have now, he was really innovative, the breeder that we worked with. It's amazing to see how far they've come. So maybe if you want to just give a little bit of a background, how did the first wiener dog come into your life?
My first wiener dog was Skippy, and I was not looking for a dog, certainly not a paralyzed dog, but a friend of mine was on Pet Finder. Their family dog had just died, and she was looking for one. And we were both working with special needs children at the time, and we noticed Pet Finder had a section for special needs dogs. So we really were just sort of looking out of curiosity. And Skippy's was the first one that popped up, and I just fell in love with him and his little story. And, I printed out his page and just kept going back to it for 2 or 3 weeks, trying to make sure this was the right decision for me and my household and my budget and everything else. When I decided it was right, I started the process to adopt him. Knew nothing about paralyzed dogs, and unfortunately the rescue that he came from out in Illinois was not very forthcoming with a lot of the details or skills or anything that I needed. So we learned everything on the fly, learned it the hard way.
And so was he completely paralyzed and already running with wheels when you got him?
He was. He came with wheels, but they told me he could walk, which kind of was not really true. It took about another year or year and a half of me doing just therapy at home before I got his whole body in good enough shape that he could do some spinal walking. If he was on good carpet or good grass, he could pop up and walk for, 10 or 15 feet. And, it was just such a neat little thing to see. But for the most part, for his long walks and getting around outside, he used his wheels.
Well, that's amazing. So, so how long did you have Skippy?
I had him almost 10 years. It was, learned a lot in the beginning. It was kind of just before Facebook took off, or at least for me. So there weren't a lot of groups or resources that could kind of help me figure it out. But once I got locked in with the right people, we took off and quite literally ran with it. He became kind of locally famous for racing and his costumes and things that we did locally just to educate other dachshund owners about the disease. So that they, wouldn't have to go down quite the same path that I did.
Sure. So then from Skippy, you then proceeded to have another dachshund, and who came after Skippy?
Yes, that's Maggie. When Skippy died, it kind of crushed my world, and everyone was trying to be helpful and calling me and letting me know they had another down dog that I could adopt, and they wouldn't charge me any fees or anything. And well, that was all great. I needed time to just grieve Skippy. And when my heart was kind of ready, I started making some calls about fostering, and had a dog that was coming that I was going to foster, but she got adopted before I could ever meet her. Then I had another dog I was trying to foster, but kind of the rescue never called me back. Then I had another foster I finally got my hands on, but he died within 4 hours from complications of the disc disease. Oh. So it wasn't until it'd been about 9 months that I found Maggie on Facebook and kind of looked over at Skippy's picture on the wall and said, okay, after all these sits and starts, if this is supposed to be my dog, then you or God or karma or the fates or whoever needs to get your act together and make this work. So I messaged the lady on Facebook, and they of course said, just send me your email address and we'll send you an application. So I said, fabulous, here you go, here's my number and here's my email. And as a way of introducing myself, you might want to look at my other dog Skippy's Facebook page, and you can kind of see what sort of home you might expect for Maggie. And my phone rang instantly, and they were like, oh, my gosh, you're Skippy Johnston's mother? I said, yes. They said, well, we followed his page for years. We think you'd be a fabulous home for Maggie. So we kind of started the process to get her. And she was in Michigan at the time, and we kind of met in the middle. I was in South Alabama when I actually got her. So that's how I got Miss Pink.
That's a pretty amazing story. She was meant to be yours for sure. The lucky girl. She
was.
Lucky girl.
I just had to be patient.
Yeah, sometimes that's what it takes, right? The right one comes into our minds and our hearts right when we need them. So lucky for both of you. Lucky for both of you. Maggie is on wheels as well then?
She is, and she's actually a little bit more down than Skippy was. She has not been able to walk at all. And that's okay. We still kind of do some therapy to keep her whole body healthy. She uses wheels whenever we go out, and she's trying to follow in her brother's footsteps with racing and costumes and disc disease education, and we just try to have a good time with it.
And how old is she?
She will be 7 in a couple of months.
And how long have you had her now?
3 years this month.
Perfect. So now, how did you get to be involved with the National Walk and Roll Day?
Kind of a funny story that when I had first adopted Skippy and we were doing a Halloween event and just kind of a neighborhood thing, and I couldn't come up with a costume that would work with his wheelchair. And in the process of kind of Googling ideas, I stumbled across this wiener dog that was in a wheelchair, and their family had made their wheelchair into a train, like a choo-choo train. And I thought, oh my gosh, there we go. We need to be a vehicle. So we turned his actually into a John Deere tractor, but I always remembered that picture of that little dog in the train costume. So a couple of years later, when I was sort of getting into Facebook, I found Frankie, the walk and roll dog, and saw that picture on her page, and I was like, oh my gosh, I knew you a long time ago. And that she had actually inspired me and Skippy. So we started following that page and messaging Barbara, and we've just sort of been connected ever since. When Skippy died, we had done a big fundraiser for, some friends on Facebook had raised money to pay his medical bills. And when he died, without having surgery, we had money left over, and we donated it to Barbara's fund to provide wheelchairs for other dogs. So we just kind of have been connected. And when she was ready to move forward in a different direction, she asked me if I would be interested in taking over the Walk and Roll Dog Day page. And I said, absolutely. So that's how I ended up with it.
When exactly is the Walk and Roll Day?
It's in September, and we're kind of playing with how we can keep it going and find some new directions. It's been challenging this year with family things to really put the time into it that I had hoped, but I'm looking at getting new Tshirts designed and a new logo and things like that so that we can, get everyone as involved as possible, and seeing if there are any little avenues for fundraising that we can continue to provide, wheelchairs and other aids for dogs with disc disease and other things that, it's not just IVDD dogs. There are other reasons dogs can be in wheelchairs. We just happen to live very much in IVDD world around here.
Yeah. It's a walk, correct, that you host?
No,
or what exactly is it?
No, because it's kind of a national thing. It's hard to get, everybody together. So there's never been like an organized, show up at 10 o'clock and let's walk kind of thing.
Okay.
I think there are other events that I've done sort of allow you to do your own walk in your own neighborhood and just sort of, document that, contribute, pictures or something. So that's sort of what I'm trying to come up with. Is there a way that we can do that so that, theoretically on such and such a day at such and such time, we're all out walking across the country, and that will unite us, that way.
Well, that's perfect because especially now with various forms of social media, that's something that people can, Facebook Live or Instagram Live, their walks and that kind of thing, and everybody can kind of be involved in the same day. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said you were looking at having a new logo and maybe some T-shirts designed, would people then be able to purchase some T-shirts to have at their local walks or for when they're out doing their... Yeah.
Yes. Barbara did T-shirts several years ago, and I presume they sold very well, and I've had a few people contact me asking about that. We don't have the old logo in a format that will work, so I'm kind of having to start from scratch to get a new logo made and in the file format that I need to do T-shirts and bumper stickers and all kinds of things that we could potentially offer. So I'm working with a couple of people now to see if we can move towards that end.
Do you have a website or a Facebook page, or what do you have for social media so people can find you if they're looking to take part?
Right now, it's just the National Walk and Roll Dog Day Facebook page. The website, Barbara turned that over to me as well, but I seem to be just more familiar, more comfortable running it as a Facebook page. So that's where we are right now.
If people wanted to get involved, what would you suggest that they do then?
Like the Facebook page and just keep watching for announcements of things that are coming down the pipe.
Okay. And where are you located?
I live just south of Atlanta.
Okay.
In a little town called Noonan, Georgia.
Will you try and host something locally in your neighborhood for it, or is that your goal?
Yes, I have a very active wheelie dog community here, friends and rescue groups that we're involved in. So we've got a great little contingent here that we could do a wheelie dog event locally and, kind of do something to kick that off. Sure.
Is there a date set? You said sometime in September. Is there typically a time frame?
No, it has been September, I believe the 22nd. I'm not looking at the page at the moment. Trying to decide if we can still do that, or do we need to move it to the nearest Saturday or something that will work. If we're actually doing an event, it might not work if it falls in the middle of the week. So it may need to be sort of the third Saturday in September kind of thing.
And then keep it at the same time so that people always kind of know when to expect it.
Right.
Perfect. While you're in the planning stages for getting it reestablished, do you need any help? Do you ask for volunteers, someone to give you a call and maybe lend a hand with anything that you're planning?
Certainly put that out on the Facebook page. Like I said, I've got somebody who's a graphic designer who's talking to me about things. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. I haven't gotten much further than that. Eventually I may need help with, somebody who is a T-shirt resource or a T-shirt printing resource or that sort of thing. But we're just not there yet.
No, we all start somewhere. Is there anything else that you might want to share with us that to help people be aware of something that you might want to share again about having a dachshund with a disability? Because I know, a lot of people, when they get that diagnosis of IVDD or when their dog actually goes down, that, it's very overwhelming. And the thought of having a dog that's disabled causes a lot of stress. Is there some suggestion or recommendation that you might have for someone that's going through the same kind of thing?
Absolutely. There's so many more resources out there now. I'm locked in mostly to the Facebook community, but local resources, rescue groups. There's so much more information, and so many more people who are like me have learned that it's not a death sentence. And once you learn how to manage the day-to-day things, the bladder expression and the wheelchairs and drag bags and stuff, it's really not that hard. In some ways, I'm actually better off than people with non-paralyzed dogs because Maggie goes to the bathroom on the toilet. So I don't have to grab a coat or shoes or a flashlight or anything to take her to the bathroom. So I always have said she's my easy dog. It's just asking for help. And if you don't feel like you're getting good information from your veterinarian, keep asking, find another vet, because unfortunately too many veterinarians are still of the mindset that they need to euthanize these dogs. And if they could spend just one afternoon with Maggie, they would see that there's so much life left in her and dogs like her. There's no need to put her to sleep.
I think that the best way to describe that, there's so many vets, like you say, that it's just not as common in a lot of the places that have to see success, I guess is kind of what it is,
right.
Is that there is that possibility that it's not the end, that it may not be the same, but it doesn't mean it has to be the end.
Right. And that's why we do as many events as we can, dachshund-specific events, to try to spread that word. And Maggie has her own Facebook page, and we're trying to promote, her as her little active self. And she loves hiking. For some reason, she loves hiking. So we're trying to hike all of the state parks in Georgia and just show people that, she may be down, but she is definitely not out.
That's awesome. So what is Maggie's Facebook page?
It's Maggie on the Move.
And how many state parks has she got under her wheels?
We've done about 20.
Wow. How many state parks are there in Georgia?
There are about 50 on our list. There are about 45, I believe, that are actually state parks, and then a few that are outdoor recreation areas that are just interesting and cool. And we've hit a few other things that kind of aren't state parks, but are just interesting places to hike. So she loves it. I took her on one hike we went for about a mile hike to a waterfall, and I thought if she hates it, I'll carry her. But she loved it. So we have kept going with that, and it's just longer, and she can hike up to 6 miles in a day, which is interesting because my limit is about 5 miles.
That's funny. Did she come with her wheels?
She came with a pair of wheels that had been donated to the rescue group that had her in Michigan, and they were a little bit big for her. When I got her, I ordered her a new set of wheels, and that's more suitable for her. That's what we have. She really only uses it when we're outside and hiking and going on our walks around town or shopping or that kind of thing. At home, she just prefers to kind of scoot around. We have little nightgowns and things to kind of help protect her undercarriage. I've already bought her sort of a second wheelchair just to have as backup as parts may start to fail on this one, but we're really happy with the company that we chose, and they've been really good to send us replacement parts and things that we need.
Where did you get your wheels from?
She has walk-in wheels from Walk-in Pet. It comes in pink. I think they sell pink and blue and camo when we went with pink, and she loves scooting around in her little pink cart. And she gets so much attention everywhere we go, but it's kind of a forum for us. Again, everybody, like you told us about your dog when you were growing up, everybody has a story about a dachshund that they had that has had back problems. And, we try to be that little ambassador, and she's very good at it.
That's great. And so she takes to the role of spokesperson very well then.
She does.
That's
she does.
Great. Was there anything that we haven't discussed that you might want to share with us?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, I think then that we've got it. Thank you so much today for your time, Angela. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm so happy that my grandfather introduced me to the dachshunds so many years ago. With any luck, over the long term, this podcast will help to decrease IVDD. And in the short term, I really hope to bring more awareness to the various ways that we see IVDD. So many owners I've spoken with that have have had to make hard decisions in really short amount of time and with little knowledge or guidance or assistance. I really hope that this podcast could be that for someone. I hope that you will help me help others that might be in the heart of it right now, making difficult decisions, that by sharing this podcast, you're able to give them some hope. If you have a wiener dog story, an event, or a topic you'd like to see us cover, send an email, bark@wienerdoglover.com. Follow us on Instagram, wiener_dog_lover_, or Twitter @lovingwienerdog, or find us on Facebook, Wiener Dog Lover. Never miss an episode. Head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time we put out a new podcast. I'd also be grateful if you would leave us a review. Until next time, Wiener Dog Lovers, this is Lori, Sheba, and the Wieners signing off.